Today, we are going to talk about the extent to which the Manhattan Project was necessary. The Manhattan Project was a top-secret research and development initiative by the United States during World War II aimed at creating the first atomic bombs. This project was crucial and at utmost necessity in order to obtain research on nuclear physics, to develop nuclear weapons before any of the Axis powers, to end World War II, and to obtain nuclear energy. To start, in 1938, nuclear fission was first discovered by Otto Hahn in Berlin by bombarding uranium atoms with neutrons. With this discovery, theories of an extremely powerful bomb would begin to spread. In 1939, 6 years after escaping Nazi Germany, Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Germany might be working on atomic power and urging the US to start similar research. In the letter, he said, "This new phenomenon would lead to the construction of bombs, and it is entirely conceivable that extremely powerful bombs of a new type may thus be constructed." In response to the Einstein-Szilard letter, President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the Advisory Committee on Uranium and appointed Lyman J. Briggs to run it. FDR then later reassigned it under the National Defense Research Committee, NDRC, and then moved it to the Office Scientific Research and Development, OSRD, to oversee atomic research.
When the MAUD report came from London in 1940 confirming that a fission bomb was feasible and could impact the end of the war, there was more pressure to make a bomb before the Nazis, who had a head start with nuclear fission. However, it was later confirmed that Germany was nowhere close to ever making such a bomb and didn't make much progress after 1941 and was scrapped in 1942. In the United States defense, though, they wouldn't know how ahead or behind they were until after the war.
The Manhattan Project was spread across several key locations. Los Alamos, New Mexico was a central site for design and testing of atomic bombs. Oak Ridge, Tennessee was focused on uranium enrichment using methods such as gaseous diffusion and electromagnetic separation. Hanford, Washington was a site of plutonium production using nuclear reactors. And Chicago, Illinois, in the University of Chicago, was a site of the first controlled nuclear chain reaction led by Enrico Fermi. The Manhattan Project was also essential in building research on nuclear physics. They were studying fissile materials all over the United States and developed methods to obtain plutonium and uranium-235. At the University of Berkeley, Ernest Lawrence developed a method to get uranium-235 using a cyclotron and an electromagnetic separation method. This was the most efficient way to get uranium-235 in World War II. Similarly, in Oak Ridge, they enriched a lot of uranium, but they also used a graphite X-10 reactor to make plutonium.
In 1942, Manhattan Engineer District, or MED, was formally created. Under the U.S., the Army was tasked with overseeing the Manhattan Project during World War II. Led by General Leslie Groves, the MED managed the development, production, and deployment of the first atomic bomb.
Recruited by Groves, Oppenheimer would recommend a site where theoretical and experimental physicists could openly share ideas to increase efficiency. After all, efficiency was key in winning the race against the Nazis. He would ultimately direct this location in Los Alamos, where they would start construction on the nuclear weapons. Oppenheimer's leadership and scientific expertise proved crucial to the project's success, fostering a collaborative environment that attracted top minds and coordinating the complex research efforts that led to the creation of the atomic bomb. Richard Feynman, who was recruited by Oppenheimer, said he was very patient. He paid attention to everyone's problems. And Oppenheimer also made plans for him to see his wife, who was severely ill with tuberculosis. At Los Alamos, they had to discover how to make and detonate the bomb without it pre-detonating. They were able to detonate the atomics with two techniques, the implosion and Gudd method. On July 16, 1945, the first successful test of a nuclear weapon, known as the Trinity Test, took place in Alamogordo, New Mexico. The atomic bomb tested was a plutonium implosion device, and the explosion was equivalent to about 20 kilotons of TNT, proving the viability and practicality of this bomb. After the test, all the scientists celebrated, but one scientist, Bob Wilson, was extremely saddened, as they were all excited to accomplish this feat, but never thought to think of what their work would be used for. In late May, the Committee of Scientists and Army Air Force officers listed Kokura, Arsenal, Hiroshima, Niigata, and Kyoto as four best targets, believing that attacks on these cities would make a profound psychological impression on the Japanese and weaken military resistance. Truman approved atomic weapons to be utilized to end war and reduce American casualties that would have occurred had a bomb not been used. They also wanted to win the war in Japan before Russia would invade and have influence in the territory. Disputes after the war In addition, the United States wanted to use this weapon in order to intimidate the Soviet Union. On August 6, 1945, a B-29 bomber named Enola Gay released a uranium gun atomic bomb called Little Boy on Hiroshima. This killed roughly 70 to 210,000 people. On August 9, 1945, a B-29 named Boxcar dropped the plutonium implosion atomic named Fat Man. The day after this, Japan surrendered. Essentially, this project was necessary to end the World War.
After World War II, the Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, was established in 1946, and it essentially transferred the control of atomic energy from military to civilian hands. Following that, in 1957, the Shippingport Atomic Power Station in Pennsylvania became the first commercial nuclear power plant in the United States. In 1957, the International Atomic Energy Agency was formed with the goal of spreading the use of nuclear power as opposed to nuclear weapons, and increase nuclear security and safety regulations. However, some may point out that nuclear power wouldn't be safe with an accidental explosion on Chernobyl in 1986. While it is dangerous, if not properly regulated, it gives the world a clean and ample source of energy.
In conclusion, we learned that the Manhattan Project was extremely necessary as it gave us nuclear weapons and research, it ended the World War, and it gave us nuclear power.